Hello and welcome back to FVC Season 6. Today is round 1 at the Interlagos circuit. 19 drivers from all the teams are joining us tonight ahead of the first round of the season. My name is Onku and I will be your commentator for this round. Future rounds in this series, apologies for the slight pause media there everybody, it is undecided if or who will be commentating them. One car is out on track already, is going to be the McLaren of FVC. Brazil, of course, is a very historic track to the FVC, both in the main series and in FVC2. A number of various controversies and other events have happened here. Of course, back in FVC2 Season 4, the most recent race that has happened at this circuit, we did see Lexi, the car we were following along with, on the podium of that race as well. Teammate Bayless also won the race, and the McLaren duo is looking to be very strong for this season coming ahead. Also out on track, we can see in the map an AlphaTauri, a Williams, Mercedes, both the Alfa Romeos, a Red Bull, a Haas, and a Ferrari have also made their way out. 18 minutes of qualifying ahead of a 50% race, the standard FVC procedure, as has been all the way back since, I'm pretty sure, at least Season 3, if not even beforehand in Season 1. Coming up the line to start her first flying lap, we'll jump on board with the McLaren driver and watch along how she completes this circuit. 15 turns ahead. Heading into turn 1, a hard braking zone. It's downhill and it's on cam before getting down immediately through turn 2. Yellow flags already behind for a slow Red Bull or a Haas, I'm not sure, but keeping it in tightly for turn 3, then into the DRS zone to end out the first sector. The clouds are looking quite grey. It is dry conditions for the time being, however that could very rapidly change. We did see in FVC2 it was a dry to wet qualifying, and we even had multiple tyre compounds used in the race, both of dry and wet compounds. Through the middle sector, Alexi keeping it nice and tight into the apex of turn 8 for on the slight downhill for 9. Decent grip through 11. It's a hard braking zone into turn 12, but that is your final braking zone of the lap. Heading out of turn 12 all the way through to 15. Up at the final left-hander of the circuit, is flat all the way. The DRS opened between turns 14 and 15. So off board, there's 15 minutes remaining, and it is a 109.265 to set the pace for all the drivers in the session. Alexi takes provisional pole position, but will that stand for the rest of the session? Up next is going to be D765 heading over the line. Moves up to the top, a 108.801 for him. And up next is going to be, I'm not sure if that's a Red Bull or a Williams, that's going to be starting a lap, but an Alfa Romeo is behind of Treeboy, moving into third at 109.613, and the Red Bull's up next for Amber, going in second, a 109.050. Lot also completing a lap, a 110.629, surprisingly slow for the relatively quick driver on this day, however anything could change. There is still another 14 minutes of qualifying remaining. I don't have my notebook, I just realized I don't have any of my keybinds at the ready to bring up any of the on-screen graphics. Give me one moment, everybody, as I figure background things out. So, I don't even have any stats either for this race, so apologies if the commentary is a little more lackluster than normal. Previous pole positions at this circuit we see, last time we raced here in the main series was all the way back in Season 4. The track did not get its place on Season 5 or any of the summer series between then, but the last driver to take pole position here is the driver that's currently in 5th of Treeboy53. He took pole for Ferrari during that season, he's now driving for Alfa Romeo. All cars are on the equal performance setting for this league to make it purely down to driver skill. Of course, it is on equal, but there are still minor differences between all the cars. Some are very different, as a spin there for Haas and M rounding the entrance to Sector 3, getting off the track very quickly, allowing the Alpine and the Williams to get out of the way. Season 3, the reverse reverse championship order grid, was set by Saskia Moll, that driver currently down with Aston Martin. Sat in 12th place, but still in the pit, had yet to come out on the track. As we've been running down, a new third position of GL Broughton has moved up. Still, the top is unchallenged. But all the way out in Season 2, in the AI era, the teammate of Amber down in 18th, yet to come out of the pit lane or yet to the lap, as 108.626 there for Bayless, setting the new provisional pole position. McLaren doing a very good job sitting up in 1st and 5th as it stands. The best team so far, but there's still a number of drivers have yet to set a lap. Of course, if there's anybody you want me to follow along with at any point during the qualifying session, do shout their name out in the Twitch chat and I will jump over to them to follow along for a while. Of course, if they're in the pit lane, we will be jumping around regardless of who you send. We'll be waiting for them to come back out of the pit lane. Yellow flag in sector 1 as Curly 7 retires heading out of pits. We'll have to see if we can jump on board anybody for that. The Red Bull of Apex is approaching turn 1. But there is a couple of Mercedes as Apex dives into pit lane. Not going to be able to see what happened there, but it's likely he got out of the pit limiter and drove straight into the wall. That's going to be detrimental. We see Dorado hitting the wall as well. Track maybe getting slightly greasier. Doesn't seem like any rain is falling as of yet. However, the cloud cover does say that it could entirely happen. Of course, we don't have any weather radars here for the commentary. We can't quite see what's happening. There is a Haas off at turn 1 of what looks to be Demon on the inside of the circuit. It's an interesting place to be there as a yellow flags for a slow-moving Ferrari coming out of the middle sector. Jumping over to said Ferrari, see if we can find out what's going on there. Might be just looking to charge his battery, or could even be on low fuel mode, trundling back to the pit lane. Ferrari moves into pit lane, clearly and easily getting out of the way of the approaching Alfa Romeo. A. Williams saying, dry all race and quali. Thank you for the information. That will clear up a couple of errors. Very far off track once again for Demon. That will be compromising his run all the way to the line if he's going to be setting a lap. Of course, he could dive into pit lane, change some things. Instead, he does stay out. Let's jump on board the Haas driver for a run around the Interlagos circuit. Down hard braking zone for turn 1, but it's still a very quick turn. It does miss the apex just a little bit and doesn't get down the gears possibly as much as you would want to. Nicely through turn 2 and keeps it well to the inside through turn 3. DRS wide open once again, the rear wing open just to give that extra little bit of speed all the way down the straight towards turn 4 and hard braking. Don't want to run too wide, you can invalidate your lap very easily. Demon does go outside the limits but does keep the lap valid. Caution flags for a Red Bull and a slow moving McLaren on the straight. Thankfully that is behind, will not cause Demon any issues into the center and end bits of the middle sector of the track. Nicely through turn 9 heading towards 10. That slight right-hander just before turn 10 isn't counted to the corner on the official map and the cars barely notice it either. Alexi also moves up into 3rd place with a 108.970. McLaren doing even better up near the top. Of course, as the track continues to evolve, more rubber gets put down, the times will continue to get quicker. There was also another interesting thing of note a while ago on social media as Demon comes over the line, setting a 111.608. There's definitely going to be more time than that. He's running off the circuit into turn 1, spinning it round. We'll get out of the way nice and quickly though. But continuing on, there was a posting from Amber's social media saying she would be starting every race this season from the back of the grid. However, that is seeming to be not holding at the current time. She's currently sitting in 4th place in the pit lane. Could improve or could stay. Anything can happen in the next 8 minutes of qualifying. A little bit of a wobble there for Finnell on his outlap coming around turn number 4. Yellow flags for a spun around Ferrari at turn 12 as well. Hopefully it doesn't cause any problems. That is not going to be... So it's going to be Harrison M. 110.312 for him. Also not quite representative of what he can do. Definitely possible for him to go faster as yellow flags for a Haas at turn 6. As Apex retires from the session. And Demon a 5-place penalty for a collision with Apex. Jump over to Soundbaker, setting a purple first sector. Of course, we're not going to be able to get to see what happened there. Possible slow-moving vehicle. Still 3 drivers left to set a time. Finnell on an outlap. And Sat on a flying up. Scarlet still in pit lane though. But there is still time to set a reasonable flying lap. Bayless and D7 are both out of the pit lane now as well. We're following along with Soundbaker. Was 12th, went to 9th, a 109.542 for the Alpine driver, moving out at 10th of a second behind Apex and the Red Bull ahead. Further up the top of the grid, it is very close for 3rd all the way to 5th, but up near 1st and 2nd, there's still a couple of tenths gap between all those drivers. We'll jump up now to Bayless, a purple middle sector for the McLaren driver heading on board for the ending stage of the lap. Up into 8th gear coming across the line. So 108.284 provisional pole position for the McLaren driver. 6 tenths of a second advantage over 2nd place. Well, closer to about 5 tenths. But it is very, very quick there for the McLaren team. Let's see how all the rest of the drivers can respond, of course. That is now an indication of how much grippier the track is now compared to when we started. A 114.1 for Saskia while down 17th. Still one more driver to come out of pit lane of Scarledy 42. She won't have long to set a lap. Action on the track getting a little bit quiet. D765, a 108.483 up in 2nd place as Finnell does spin it around, resetting to track to get out of the way quickly from the Alpine behind. In of OJ English could be on a flying lap. We'll jump on board with him as he finishes it out. Only 5 minutes remain in the session for all the drivers to get out and set their laps. Nicely around the final corner, get into the grip nicely through turn 12. Keep it closer to the inside through 13 and 14. DRS now wide open coming up to the line. 6th place to be, a 109.3 to go faster, and it is not an improvement. Yellow flags in Sector 2. Apologies for the slight pause, had to write out a message. Looks to be the Alfa Romeo of Jim Bobster on a slow lap. Unsure whether that car is in... low fuel or not. It does say it's on an outlap, so should go quicker. 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. Scarlett does not have much time left to set a lap. Red Bull of Amber still in pit lane. Closest car to get under the 8-second barrier, or the 9-second barrier, sorry, that has not yet done so. Finn retiring from the session. The Williams driver didn't seem to be on track as far as I can see. We see the Red Bull coming out of the pit lane now, leaving a lot of tyre smoke for some reason. Aboard with Jim Bob Sturrock, or Jim Bob 0807. The purple middle sector for the Alfa Romeo driver heading up to the line. Depending on how much the track has evolved, or whether or not that was just a very quick middle sector, we could see an Alfa Romeo take pole position up to the line to third, a 108.799 for him. It's getting very close up to the top now. One minute and 20 seconds remaining. Scarlett 42 is on an outlap. She will be the final driver to set a lap that is still in the session. And it's only going to be one shot for her. Also moving to third, it's going to be JL Broughton at 108.709. Third place getting usurped by another driver. Still a large enough margin up at the top of the grid by about 2/10 for Bayliss over D7. And almost all cars out on track, bar 2 of the ones that are still remaining. So it will get very busy. If you have a good spot on the track right now or a good slipstream, it could be everything for you at this point. We'll jump on board with Scarlett 42 to end off the qualifying session. She will be the final driver to set a lap, for one of the final drivers, sorry. A couple of cars behind will get over the line in time, but you've got to be quick if you are not yet on your lap. Nice through turn 1, decent into turn 2. Very harshly on the inside curb before slowly moving to the right hand side. DRS now wide open between turns 3 and 4. Hard braking at the 100 meter board. A little bit of a lock up, but gets to the inside. The first car to head over the line will be an Alfa Romeo. We'll jump over to see who that is. That's going to be Tree Boy. 109, previous pole position does improve, and not enough to go up on the grid any. Next will be a Haas. Going to be Bly up her. A 109.843 from DeBeat. He is down 14th. He can do better, and he does do better. It's up to 10th. A 109.371. Next Alfa Romeo of Jim Bob will be the next car up. However, he is slow. He ran out of fuel, so he's not going to be going up any. Red Bull of Amber. It was a purple middle sector. We didn't catch the first starting sections. It is a 108.284 if you want to try and take pole position, and it is not going to be enough. Stays third place, a 108.584. McLaren coming back behind. Unsure who that was. Looking to be Alexi since Bayliss is still going. Ferrari up next of Scarlett 42. It's going to be a fourth place, a 108.664 for her. And next Ferrari of Harrison M is going to be the next car across the line. Does improve it to 8th, 108.984. Still a few cars looking to be out on track. Sam Baker invalidated lap. Pixels doing donuts in the grass with teammate Sass, but that's going to be it for qualifying. All the drivers have over the line. It's going to be Bayliss on pole and D765 in second place. Amber in the Red Bull will take third, and Scarlett 42 will be alongside in a Ferrari, and another different car of Broughton will be in fifth. Sixth place goes to Jim Bob 0807 in the Alfa Romeo, and our first duplicate car of Alexi in the McLaren in seventh. 6 different cars in the top 6. 8th place will head to Harrison M 2906. 9th goes to Treeboy 53. Our defending pole position driver will not be getting the pole position award for season 6. And 10th goes to Eldorado 2009. 11th is OJ English. 12th will be Bly Apple 5169. 13th goes to Apex. 14th to Simon Baker. 15th is Finnell, and I didn't quite catch the rest of the grid moving down. Bayless takes pole position ahead of D765 with a 0.2 of a second gap. Amber will take 3rd place, and Scarly42 is in 4th. 5th goes to Jail Broughton, and 6th to Jim Bob 0807. 6 different cars in the top 6, and 7th place goes to FV Alexi in the 2nd McLaren. 8th goes to Harrison M2906, 9th Treeboy, and 10th to Eldorado. 11th is OJ English, 12th goes to Blythe 5169, 13th is Apex, 14th goes to Sam Baker, 15th to Finnell, 16th goes to FE Pixel, 17th for Demon with a 5th place grid drop, 18th for Saskia Mall, and 19th without a lap for Curly7. Don't go anywhere, we'll be back very shortly for the My keyboard is not working, help. Welcome back to FVC Season 6, as my keybinds are still not working. We have just been back from a very intense qualifying session. It is very close near the top of the grid. Apologies for everything going on in the background. It is all a little bit broken currently. Bayless takes pole position, a very quick lap time for the McLaren driver, and alongside in 2nd is D765 YZ123. The Season 5 champion not on pole position for the first race. Amber will take 3rd place ahead of Scarly42 in the Ferrari, only setting 1 lap and getting a very impressive 4th place on the grid. JL Broughton will take 5th in the Williams, and our 6th different car in the top 6 is Jim Bob 0807 in the Alfa Romeo. 7th place, the McLaren of Alexei, and 8th goes to the Ferrari of Harrison M2906. Treeboy will take 9th place, Eldorado is in 10th, and down in 11th is OJ English. The first of the Haas's make their appearance in 12th place with Blythe 5169, and Apex is down in 13th after a crash with Toxic Demon in qualifying. Simon Baker will take 14th place, 15th goes to IX Finnell, 16th to Pixel, 17th for Saskimal, who's currently off the track. 18th place will go to Curly7, not being able to set a lap and crashing at qualifying, and that 5th place grid drop means Demon will be starting in 19th place. 19 cars, all very, very skilled drivers in their own right, going to be starting the first round of Season 6. Broughton managing to get disqualified from the formation lap. Thankfully, that does not carry over for the race. Drivers are making their way to the starting grid. Retirement from the session for Curly7. I'm not sure what's happened there. That might be a restart depending on what has happened. Nothing was said in the driver's channel. Might just be having to leave on his own. The drivers are lined up. Can't see the starting lights from here. They're all on. Lights out and away we go. Looks to be a very good start from the front two there. Amber not getting as great of a launch behind, getting boxed in by the McLaren and the Mercedes. Ferrari Scarly42 looking good behind, trying to get past in any way she can, jumping on board with her. Amber's moved to 2nd place, but that Mercedes is still going to be there on the inside. Will have the better line through the corner. No DRS for the starting 3 laps, so it's going to be pure pace and the slipstream. Amber trying to get any way past she can, looking into the slipstream, doesn't go for it. Must be a bit of a lock up there as well for Scarly42. That Ferrari getting very close to the back of the Red Bull already. Things are changing behind as well. Already cars looking to be 3 wide in the background with the Mercedes, a Williams, and a Haas. It's a yellow flag going on behind for a spun Aston Martin. That's going to be Sass in the background. Cars also contact. I think the Mercedes and the Williams that came together have brought in Dorado in the behind for 10th place. But all cars have made it off the grid. All 19 safely. Somehow Curly7 has managed to get back into the session before the race has begun. However, there's already a big gap there forming between the top 6 and further back. Also spun around is going to be Harrison M in the 2nd Ferrari, down in 18th. That's an unlucky start for him. Alongside the Mercedes and the Red Bull going to be side by side into turn 1. Bayless setting the pace at 1:15.392. Amber's going to be on the inside. The outside for the Mercedes, jumping on board. He's going to have to give that place back. There's just nowhere for him to go. But he could bring it all back with the slipstream depending on the corners next. There is a big gap. Red Bull ahead trying to break the toe any way she can. Predicted strategies are on your screen. 1 stop for the hards or 2 stops for the mediums, of course. There is a number of different strategies at play, and safety cars could have come into it. There are 36 laps. It is a 50% race distance from a real-life Grand Prix. We'll jump away from this lead pack for a second as things just get a little bit sorted out with the timing tower. We'll jump back to where the battles are a bit closer for 12th place currently. No points on offer for 12th, however, it is still a hard as battle as any. Demon's already moved up to 16th place from the back of the grid. A good couple of improvements there from 19th where he started. Also going to be going at it very close. It's going to be the Ferrari driving through the AlphaTauri. Amber setting a 1:11.275 after another driver got the fastest lap just slightly before her. DRS will be getting enabled this lap. We'll jump back up to the front of the grid. Following along with D765, that detection zone will allow him to get the DRS opened. The Red Bull ahead also will have it, but that Mercedes all does depend on the setup. It looks to be a little bit faster in a straight line as well, which will help on certain sections of the circuit, and it does indeed through Sector 1, setting the purple first sector. Fastest of all of them so far, but there's still an entire race to go yet. Amber is on the soft comfort tires, alternate to these front runners. She will have to pit earlier, and those tires will be burning out quickly. Timing tower has also thankfully sorted itself out between 3rd and 4th place. Going to be another DRS zone as well throughout this next sector, and by the looks of it, that rear wing of the Red Bull is open once again. However, that Mercedes is getting very close to the back of that car now, and it's not going to be long before that McLaren, if it keeps at this pace, does get outside of the 1 second gap that you do need for the DRS activation system to be opened. She will get it through this straight due to its proximity to the next one, but that could be different by the end of this lap. D7 is getting very close. A 3-second penalty for Pixels, multiple warnings already on lap 4 of the race. D7 will also have to be careful not to burn out his own tyres while catching, because Scarl in the Ferrari is ever present behind. And speaking of the Ferrari, she is very close, but a bit of a slide there coming through turn 11. We just set her back a little bit. There is still going to be enough space for DRS up near the top for the Red Bull and the McLaren, but it is getting very, very near the end of it. Side by side there for the Alfa Romeo and the McLaren background of Alexi and Jim Bob. Those two are going to be going at each other very closely. Jim will get the DRS again down the next straight. Alexi trying to break the toe just a little bit by weaving in the straights. Not allowed to weave too many times, and she does know that. Moves to defend the inside line. Somehow keeps to say that's going to be off the track for Jim Bob. He'll have to give that space back or face a in-game penalty. Does give it back pretty quickly. He also got a little unsteady with how far out he was. Up near the top of the field, there must have been a mistake as D765 gets up into 2nd place, and Scarly 42 will get into 3rd. Amber to go the long way around at the top of the circuit. Those soft tires could already be burnt out by this stage. Brazil is a very cornering heavy track, and it has a lot of high-speed corners. Those tires could just be at the end of their lifespan already, and that's very early on in the race. If so, 3-second penalty for Saskia Moyle for multiple warnings. Bayless having a second worth in hand over the top. No DRS for the Ferrari, interestingly, and a 5-second penalty for Jim Bob for speeding in pit lane. Some drivers already electing to go in for their stops. Starting tyre for Jim Bob on the mediums. There's also yellow flags out for the Red Bull of Apex through turn 1. Jump down and see what's happened there. It's a very close fight here for is ninth place. Both of the Alpines getting past Blah as Demon a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. Both of the Alpines making quick work of the Haas driver, easily working together. Simon Baker and OG English, a very, very good duo of teammates, have been with each other for a while. Speaking of as well, behind the Ferrari and the Red Bull, almost a mirror image of what's happening for third place is happening for 13th. Dipping a couple of wheels onto the grass goes Apex. That's going to allow the Ferrari to get onto the inside. Not the place you want to be for the next few corners, but it does just say that he's there. But Harrison's going to spin it through the middle of the corner. He drops it on his own. Thank the best for the ghosting. That would have been a very nasty accident there between Harrison and Pixels if the ghosting was not a feature that we had enabled. But Apex, for the time being, will secure 13th place. Pixels will be the next car to try and hunt him down. Moving up, though, very close, 4th, 10th, and 11th. OG English 3-10 for multiple warnings just ahead. That will spur Blah on to try and get a move on the Alpines up ahead. Dorado's going to get very close to the back of that Haas. Doesn't seem to have any DRS down the straight. Didn't see if it was open in the mirrors or not. Retirement there for the Haas of Demon. The safety car is going to be deployed on lap 70. First safety car is out. We'll jump up to the top of the grid and see what the differing strategies are. This will be beneficial to some and detrimental to others. Of course, those medium tire runners would like it to stay out just a little bit longer, but those on the soft tires, this will be a blessing for them. All those tires could be burnt out already by this stage. We'll keep an eye on our various graphic. And indeed, the Red Bull of Amber heading into pit lane to get off of those worn out softs. All medium runners seem to be staying out, but also into pit lane is going to be brought in on the hards, as well as the Alfa Romeo of Treeboy also on the hards. Seeming to be the medium compound tire is definitely going to be one that you want to be on at this stage, especially if you're doing a two-stop. However, a number of drivers will be electing to take the hards to the end of the race, and a 5-second penalty there for Pixels, a severe collision with Harrison M, as Harrison M retires from the race now. Not sure what's gone on there. That car's already disappeared off the track. Of course, we'll be remaining under the safety car until all drivers have caught back up to the back of the pack, and I'm pretty sure everybody has completed all their pit cycles already, so we're just going to be waiting for the final few cars to get back up to the top of the grid. While we're under the caution, though, of the yellow flags, the record, that's not centered on the screen. Why has OBS done that to me? But the record for the most seasons as teammates between FB Pixels and Sasky Mall, 10 total seasons over the entirety of the FVC. Be it between the main series of, well, Season 5, Season 6, or the Summer Series, as well as FVC 2, I think, is included in that statistic as well, but I'm not 100% sure. While we're also waiting for the action to get back up, we'll have a look at our previous winners at this circuit. Season 4 and Season 3 taken by POR Ben 12. This track, remember, featuring in the Summer Series, as well as Season 2 back in the AI era of the league. Ryan Joyce for Ferrari took the win all the way back then. Of course, FVC2 has seen their fair share of winners and podium sitters as well. Bayless, our last race winner overall at the circuit in FVC2 Season 4. Alexei, his teammate, in second place, and I don't actually remember who finished third, as bad as that is, considering I am the comms for this. But we should be getting back to green flag racing at the end of this lap. All the cars are caught up to the back of the grid. 17 drivers still remain. All 17 of them very, very able. With such a tight race, going to take a lot of nerve as well on the restart. Bayless will take control of the field. Waiting on the confirmation from race control. Should come just around the next few corners. We'll see the safety car peel off from the front of the grid, and indeed we do. Safety car coming in this lap. We'll jump on board a few cars back with Scarly 42 as Bayless now takes control of the field. It is up to him to decide when to launch. No overtaking until the start-finish line. Weaving the tire to get any bit of temperature left into them. Of course, he will be doing it to try and catch everybody off guard as well as he can, still weaving. Leaving it very late now onto the start-finish straight. Another car going into pit lane there. Ghosted car, and indeed it's back to Green Flag Racing, getting into launch. It seems the top three predicted it perfectly, but 4-3 down has somewhat left a little. Curly 7, the AlphaTauri into pit lane. That car is ghosted. Don't know if that driver has made their way back into the session just yet or not. We'll move that back over to penalties. Already going for the lead is going to be D765, trying to get ahead any way you can ahead of the McLaren. There's already another safety car out. I don't know what's happened here. Currently getting reports of an Alpine, according to the drivers, but both the Alpines are in 5th and 6th. Or an AlphaTauri. Trying to figure out what's happened, as I don't even know why that safety car's come out again. We'll try and figure out what's happened. I'm trying to get a report from all the drivers. Apologies for the delay in the racing, but this could also be a good point for another couple of drivers on a longer strategy to head into pit lane now. Front wing change for the Aston Martin of SAS. Getting reports that SAS was one of the cars involved in the incident, as was IX Finnell in the Williams. And Eldorado in the Mercedes. Hopefully it shouldn't be too long before we get back underway to racing. Thank you everybody for your patience, as I didn't see what happened, so I am equally as all confused as you are, trying to find out through the drivers' channels. Number of cars going 3 wide into turn 1, and someone not braking early to anticipate so, is what I am able to gather from the drivers. 2 cars left to catch up. We will be going around another lap. Green Flag Racing will return at the end of lap 12. Of course, that's if no drivers head into pit lane. Of course, any driver electing to go into the hard or even the medium compound tires under the last stops, this will help them just preserve their tires for a little bit longer. As a car does indeed head into pit lane of the Mercedes of Dorado. Safety car coming in this lap will once again be roughly the same order in control of the field. Bayless will be leading the way ahead of D75 and Scarly42. Alexei in 4th place and Broughton in 5th. Might have been a little bit of contact there between the Mercedes and Ferrari. They were very close to each other. I was looking away, but it's a lot earlier of a start this time for Bayless, going even before turn number 15. No overtaking to the line once again. A couple of cars behind, caught very much slow. In like 5 second penalty, speeding into pit lane. The AlphaTauri of Curly and the Aston Martin of Sass and the Mercedes Dorado going very slow off the line behind. That's going to be detrimental for them. Of course, no DRS off of a safety car restart for a couple of laps. Going to reward multiple warning penalty for Dorado. D765 getting very close once again to the McLaren of Bayless. Alexei falls down to 5th place. Yellows once again, that time a Haas of Blast spun round. The start of Sector 2 doesn't get caught up with anybody else and gets back to going once again. Red Bulls are going to be nearing each other. Scarly42 practically being pushed around the corner by that Williams. Another multiple warning penalty for Dorado, another one for Sass. Both heading to 6 seconds for each driver. McLaren of Alexei trying to feign anyway to get past that Alfa Romeo as she can. Does get passed by Apex in the Red Bull. We'll have that slipstream now all the way up to turn 1 to try and make any move back. No DRS, running on pure slipstream and battery power. Doesn't be able to get closing up any to the back of the Red Bull. Stays about equal. A little bit Jimbo moving up into 4th place against the Ferrari of Scarly42. I will jump back once Amber gets a little bit closer to another couple of cars for the request in Twitch chat. There's a couple of battles setting up on the further of the field. Jumping up to 3rd. Get back, there's a McLaren round of Alexei in the middle sector. Bit we can see that Williams getting very close to the back of the Mercedes, practically pushing the cars around the corners. There must be much higher of a downforce setting. DRS will be getting enabled for the next lap. Broad will be going alongside. D725 does have a slower car in a straight line. That little bit of a push wide there for Broad, and DRS gets enabled from race control. Going to be side by side into turn 1. Broad's going to have a much worse line, probably even getting the grass, but contact there. Mercedes going to be round. The Alfa Romeo will get up to 3rd place. The Red Bull Apex getting up to 4th. Jumping back a little bit still. A bit of a gap for the front. That Ferrari now trying to get past any way she can. Going to have the outside line. Worst tyres against the Red Bull of Apex. Braking much later. Going to be understeering off the track. A mistake against one will allow the other to get on through. Pixels A3 taking immediately for multiple warnings, as well as Salmon. Going to have to go wide there for Amber. The hard compound tyres just not having anywhere near the grip to make around the outside for that corner. Very aggressive on the throttle. Don't want to be spinning it up too much lest you lose the rear of the car and head on round. It's a very easy mistake for any driver. Ferrari of Scarlet will not have any DRS assistance, was just outside that Red Bull as well, using all the overtake energy possible. DRS assistance with moving over to break the slipstream as early as possible. Scarlet doesn't follow. Going to be staying behind for the next few corners. Red Bull up to 4th and 5th, but there is still a second worth of gap between 2nd and 3rd. But there's going to be another battle for the lead. Broughton's going to be going against Bayless now. Bayless still on the starting tyres for the start of this race. Williams could be trying to look for any way up to the lead of the race. Bayless still does have to make a stop. He will have a lot worse grip as well at this stage too. Apex moved up into 3rd against Jimbo just behind, but Jimbo will have the inside line, going to be getting back past, but Apex is on the soft comp tires. He could hold it there. He does hold it there. Wheel-to-wheel contact between the two. He's going to have the inside corner for the next, or the inside line for the next corner. somehow gets it, but he's on the worst line once again. Gonna have to back out of that one. You cannot go around the outside there very safely. He will get the DRS through the straight on board, but also another one getting the DRS. It's going to be Broughton as well. He will have the worst line heading towards turn 1, but that Williams is just too quick in a straight line, easily breezing past the McLaren, who again stays out of pit lane. Moving on down a bit. Apex will have the inside line. Jim's going to try and hold it around the outside. Somehow does. He will have the inside for the next corner. Keeps it there. They're going to be side by side. That second Red Bull's going to be alongside. They're going to be nearly 3 wide through the middle of the corner. Apex just dropping back. The Red Bull's going to have DRS against the Alfa Romeo. Jim not able to defend as easily into turn 4. Has to let that Red Bull through. Couple of cars very long overdue for a stop. Be banking on another safety car. Very wide there for Jim heading through the corner. Apex to go up into 4th place. Teammate of Jim is behind. Jim is a previous pole position as well, and could be the car on the faster strategy as it stands. There's another caution in sector 2 for a slow-moving Williams of Finnell. Hopefully doesn't cause any problems up at the back of the grid. Cars couple to separate. Jim will have the DRS once again on Apex. Alfa Romeo charging around the outside will be car lengths ahead through into turn 1. Both the Alfa Romeos are going to be ahead. And now they have a choice to make. They allow Jim Bob to stay ahead and Treeboy to defend. They could both keep the position on track, but Jim is carrying a penalty, and he could allow Treeboy instead to run up the field and get a gap from Apex if that car is on much better tyres. And of course, the longer the Apex tries to get past these two, the quicker he's going to be burning out those soft compounds as well. The Alfa Romeos ahead, both on the mediums, will last longer, but it depends, of course, how long they can hold on to the positions to make Apex burn them out. And of course, those two Alpines and the Ferrari of Scarlett's going to be catching very quickly. This could very quickly turn into a 6-car battle for 4th place. Gaps up at the top are extending just a little bit. Broughton 1.5 seconds ahead of Bayless. Bayless still yet to pit, electing not to under the 2 safety cars we've had so far. But no, he heads into pit lane now on lap 19. It's going to be losing a lot of positions from where he is, but he could be on his nominal strategy from this point forward. Side by side to the Alfa Romeos heading through the first corner. Red Bull of Apex still trying to catch up. Those cars on track. Does lock up just a little bit into the corner. That's not going to help his tyre woes any at this stage. Yellow's in sector 1 around turn 3 for a Aston Martin. Racing to track will hopefully not cause any issues. And Bayless will be rejoining the track in 10th place. Falling down the grid there for Treeboy. I missed it very easily. But one of the Alfa Romeos is going to be gone. Only going to be one left between Apex and the podium positions, but that has allowed both the Alpines to catch up, and it is going to be flying for OJ, moving to the inside of the track very easily. Second Alpine off Simon, just a little bit too far back, jumping over to Apex. Very late in the race, going to get into the back of the Alpine of J English. Pixels after using penalty for multiple warnings. 17 seconds total for him now. He's going to have to be careful for the rest of this race. He's approaching disqualification. Also into pit lanes, the Ferrari of Scarlet 42 going to be falling down the grid even more. Side by side for English and Jim fighting over the final podium position. These two are on the medium compound tires. They can go further, but Apex is going to be there having a look around the outside for the next corner. Is never going to make it there. And all this has allowed the other Alpine off Sam to catch up to them. It's 4 ways for 3rd place. Also, another one to note is Bayless carving his way back up the field up to 8th place, passing Tree Boy in 9th. The Alfa Romeo not able to get anywhere. English, a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. That's heading hard into the wall for Alfa Romeo, and Jim's going to be out of the race. And that's going to be another safety car. Diving into pit lane goes Apex. That could have been very close for the cars behind. Both the Alpines also going to be heading into pits as well. And I'll be surprised if we see indeed Dorado does go in. Bayless will be kicking himself. This would have been a perfect point for his strategy to go to the end of the race. Also in is going to be Tree Boy. Same goes for Scarlett. If she would have just been a few laps later, she could have taken advantage of this third safety car. But up at the top of the grid, Broughton leads in the Williams ahead of Humber in second. English retiring from the session now. Pixel speeding in pit lane for another 5-second penalty. Dorado will take third place. But we've seen that car heading into the pits. Fourth now is Bayless on fresh, hard tyres. And fifth will go to Apex. I'm going to slow down sharply for the Delta. We'll jump over to the tyre interval. Top three all on 13-lap-old tyres. Dorado on 12, but those will be getting updated not too long from now. Bayless is on the hards, but they are only 2 laps old, and he will be able to conserve them under this safety car. But another couple ones to watch could be Apex on fresh softs and Scarlett on the fresh hards, as well as Skyman also on fresh soft compound tyres. This point in the strategy could be one very interesting, and both the top drivers into pit lane. Mediums for Amber and mediums for Broaden. Those cars will come out in the order that they went in. Dorado also into pit lane, as is Bayless, for a new set of tyres as well. This could get very interesting towards the end of this race, as Apex stays out and will take the lead. Not the lead of the race, it will take third. Mediums for Dorado, a scrubbed set. Mediums as well for Bayless and Scarlett, and presumably going to be going for La as well. True Boy stays out on new medium compound tyres. And will, by the looks of it, Tree Boy is going to ever so slightly get into 7th place. That's one lower for Scarlett. Started in 4th, has fell to 8th, but Bayless down in 6th. The only car to not take advantage, or the only cars to not take advantage of this are going to be Saskia Mall and IX Finnell. Can we see the pit stops number of? I will see if that is a detail that I have available. I don't think it is. Oh no, it is actually. We go 4 total stops for the Mercedes of Dorado, and 3 for Finnell and 1 for Sass. Everybody else done a 2-stop strategy so far. A bit of a slide there for Scotty 42 coming through the corners. That's not going to do your tyres any good whatsoever. Hopefully should not be too much longer before we see the cars down at the back get caught up. Depending on how well some drivers can conserve, they might be able to take a soft at this point to the end, but it would be a very risky strategy. The mediums do seem your best bet if you have a fresh set of them at this stage. One car remaining to get caught up. And of course, all the cars will be piling in to a set of about only 10 seconds apart from each other. The restarts are one of the more critical phases. We will be going green at the end of this lap, as long as Finnell can get caught up to the back. We'll keep the tyre detail up for just a little bit longer while this safety car ends out. 15 cars remaining and not long left to go. Safety car coming in this lap is going to be Broughton this time in the lead of the race, but both the bulls behind could cause anything to happen. Fourth place the Alpine of Simon, and fifth goes to Dorado, and pole sitter Bayless is in sixth. We'll jump on board with the Red Bull of Apex. Broughton not weaving. Amber trying to get the last little bits of temperature into the tyres. It is entirely Broughton's point to restart, and he goes just on the apex. Not long of a reaction there for both the Red Bulls. No overtaking to the start-finish line, but cars already going to be going too wide. Over the line goes Bayless and Dorado. Bayless going to be trying to get any way up to the can. He can't get a fifth place on the restart, but it was very close to doing so. Broughton has a very good start, but it will be slipstream now down the main straight. No DRS for 2 or 3 laps after the restart. Lap 26, if I'm not mistaken, it will be re-enabled for all the cars, and it will be a matter of just staying within a second of the car ahead of you to try and get use of the extra top speed down the straight. It can be the difference between winning and coming in second. Fight's already going on behind at the back of the grid. Back 4 cars getting very close to each other. We'll jump down for just a second to see what's going on. The Haas having to stick to the inside against Finn of the Williams. That's going to be the other way around for the next corner. Broughton overall seeming to get a better start than Amber. Already 4/10 of a second gap there, but now it's going to be all slipstream. And of course, depending on what battery energy you have, that gap's now going to be coming down. Taking a look, 1:10.925, the new fast lap of the race. Those new tyres working wonders for the Red Bull driver of Amber. Not going to be able to get close enough for turn 1 this time round. We'll have to stay behind for one more. No DRS distance again. You're going to have to just purely outdrive the car in front of you. Moving back a little bit, Bayless gets ahead of Dorado, but not for a very easy amount. Dorado is still going to be right there behind the McLaren driver. Back up to the top. Saskimol, a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. That gap at the top now going to be about half a second. Coming around the entry into the final sector. A little bit of a wobble there for the Red Bull of Amber. That's going to drop her a lot of time. She might not even be within a second come the next zone. .110.885 for Broughton up at the top of the field. That gap is over a second if he can keep it there for the next corners, but it doesn't look like he will. DRS does get enabled, and I think the Red Bull of Amber is just ever slightly within the gap. Jump on board, take a look at the rear wing of the car ahead. It does indeed open. She will get that extra increase in top speed down the straight. We've full charge for the Bulls up at the front of the field, but Scarlett now getting very close to the Mercedes in head. We'll keep an eye on the intervals up the field, but the closest battle on track right now is going to be for the one between 6th place. In realistic terms, though, all these cars, any of them could take any position up the field if they get the right circumstances. Pixels, another 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. That's going to be up to 23 seconds for him now. Not been a good race for Aston Martin so far. Getting back on board with Scarlett, going to be boxing in that Mercedes to the right hand side. They're going to be roughly 3 wide. It's a 1:10.674 for Bayless, just getting quicker lap than Amber, who did hold the fastest lap for just a few seconds. Scarlett will move up to 5th place, a very good move against the cars, using them, blocking each other up to her advantage, but it will mean she doesn't get DRS down this straight. Dorado will be getting it, moving up to field. Amber will take 1st place, sorry for missing it. Broughton making some form of mistake under braking or just losing it to DRS. Moving back up to the field, it's about half a second, but down to 4/10. If he can just keep it here for the rest of the lap, get the DRS assistance, anything could happen back into turn 1. Also looking behind, Bayless is making moves to the back of Apex. Only about 2.5 tenths there for the pole sitter to get back into the top 3 positions. We'll jump on board now with Broughton, who's going to have the DRS distance all the way to turn 1. That Williams is flying up the field. Going to be easily getting ahead of Amber into turn 1. Bayless, a 110 or 411 is going to be alongside Apex just in the background. He will be getting ahead into 3rd place. It's going to be a very close fight at the top of the way now. Four different cars. Apex having a look to try and get down the inside, will not make it. Bayless is now free to try and catch up, half a second behind to the second Red Bull. Broughton still holding 1st place. Lost it momentarily for half a lap. Did get it back with the use of the DRS. And we're getting very close, but a bit of a wobble. That'll allow Bayless to get alongside. We'll have the outside corner, though, for turn 10. Not the place you want to be having a look, but will be even closer to the back of that Red Bull. The pressure's on for all the drivers. She will know Bayless is there. No defense from the teammate of Apex behind. And there's a long way up the road to that much quicker Williams in a straight line. Bayless on the battery will be gaining all the way up to the back of Amber in the Red Bull. Having a look possibly into turn 1. Has a late lunge. Has a look at the dive. Going to be spinning himself round. Contact with Amber. Bayless goes round to turn 1. Apex moves back to 3rd place. Scarlet will take 4th. Also coming to detriment is going to be the McLaren of Alexi as well. Possible rejoin errors between the McLaren drivers causing each other problems. That has extended the gap though. 1.5 seconds, 1.6 seconds nearly between Broughton and Amber, and time is going to be running out for the rest of this race. That could just be the breathing room that the Williams needs to be able to take home a more comfortable win, possibly. Apex will be falling out of the DRS range of his teammate as well if he cannot get within a second by the next detection zone. We'll keep an eye on the intervals up at the top of the field, jumping down to the battle now for 7th place between the Alpine and the Alfa Romeo of Salmon and Treeboy. Closest 2 cars on track. Alfa Romeo easily getting a better run off the corner, easily quicker in a straight line as well. Will have the DRS assistance, was behind through the detection zone. Another one to watch though in the background between these two is going to be the McLarens. The Alpine lurking just in the background. See from the rear camera. Into pit lane goes the McLaren of Alexi, possibly for a front wing change for the turn 1 incident. Not sure if that was between teammates at McLaren. Could be very, very detrimental for the rest of the season if it was. Apologies if you hear any background noise on the microphone. My voice is getting quite tired. But the gap between 7th and 8th falls to about a second, but falling within a second now is going to be the battle up at the top of the field. Broughton is losing ground to the Red Bull of Amber. Not long left in the race to go. It's going to be a battle of pure skill for this point. Moving over to the tyre laps, they're both on equal tyres. The only differences between these cars is whoever gets the DRS and the setup, as well as the one that is in the cockpit. But just as easy as that, Amber spun it round. Middle of the corner, she's dropped it. She was within a second and it's gone, falling down in the field, down to 6th place. Curse of the commentator strikes again. Always seems to be a running theme for some of the drivers in this league. Scarlett will move up into 3rd place. D765 and Dorado with the Mercedes duo into 4th and 5th. These will get very close. Another spin for McLaren of Alexi down in 15th. Going from bad to worse for the McLaren duo. What looked to be a very strong beginning for them is falling quickly. The Mercedes are going to be attacking each other quickly. They got to be careful. That Red Bull is going to be behind them. Thankfully, the game giving us some of the most awkward camera angles possible. Taking a look from the rear of the Mercedes, you can see that Red Bull lurking in the background. We'll be getting closer. We'll have the DRS assistance all the way down the straight. We'll also have the battery as well, possibly. Dorado will defend the inside, but it's not going to matter. Red Bull flies ahead easily into 5th place. Roles will be reversed, though, heading down to the next section of corners. Firing off the track of Bayless. 0.6 of a second gap. The Mercedes is going to have the one with the downforce gone off of the rear of the car now, but it's not going to matter. Only able to get within about 3.5 and 4 tenths of the car ahead. Not long left to go for this race. Broughton has it all to lose now. But the battle for second could just be heating up a little bit. Of course, 4th place of D75 in the Mercedes is carrying a 3-second penalty, but Amber needs to be able to get ahead of him and then catch up to the Ferrari ahead, which is catching the other Red Bull of Apex, having a much better run through the final sector. Couple of lag spikes, apologies for that. Scarlett moves to the right-hand side of the track, easily getting ahead of Apex. Apex will be there, though, just lurking in the background. We'll also have the DRS down the next section. Not able to get on throttle as easily. Contact there, though, between the Red Bull and the Ferrari. Scarlett's going to be all the way off the track and spun round. Apex will also lose that position to D7. Just to address some things in chat as well, all the drivers in this league are using equal equipment. Scarlett42 is one of our ex-admin teams. She will not be using any unfair advantage. A mistake from one uses a miracle for another, though. But it's not over quite yet. D75 will still be pressuring those Red Bull duos, and more contact between Apex. Getting caught up on the rear corner of D7. He's going to lose all the way down to 6th place. In sector 2 for the Red Bull of Apex once again, down to 7th, possibly giving the position back to Scarlett42 from the incident a couple of laps ago. D7 is ahead for now. Only going to be 1 lap remaining, but he's carrying a 3-second penalty. He'll need to get miles ahead on track if he wants to keep the 2nd place. Even if he wants to keep the podium at all, there is not much time between the cars behind at all. Red Bull's going to be gaining all the way to turn 1, has a look to the inside, backs out of it, thinks better. The final lap of the race. For some drivers, it's going to be do or die for this moment. For others, it's going to be praying for a mistake. Apex a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. Aston Martin getting ghosted ahead of them. Moving ahead to the top of the field, Broughton will win it on track. A 10.5-second gap. The Aston Martin behind going far off the road. D765 looks like he'll take it on track. That 3-second penalty will come into play though. Or maybe that Red Bull is catching very quickly, moving up to the line. It will be second on track for Amber. D7 has to settle for third on track. That penalty will cause him to lose the podium position to Treeboy. Scarlet 42 will be 5th, Apex 6th, and Bayless, our pole sitter, is 7th. 8th place goes to Bly 5169, 2000, or 9th place will be Eldorado, and 10th, the final point, to Salmon Baker. Ignore the issues going on there. Bayless will retain his place, even though he is falling down the grid. Finnell will take 11th. Pixels will be 12th. Curly will be 13th. Alexi will be 14th. And Sass will be 15th. Bayless just disconnecting too quickly from the session does cause a bit of an error in the game, so just one of the things we have to deal with there. A good showing from some, an unfortunate showing for others, but that's just how racing can be. Driver of the day will go to Treeboy53, given by the game, but do remember we do have the Formula Companion app. If you are in our server, the invite code is there and you can vote for your driver of the day. Seeing if I still have it. Indeed I do. There is the invite screen, or the invite code on screen for you now. The app available on both Android and iOS stores. Lucky for some, unlucky for others, Broughton will win round 1, the Brazilian Grand Prix of FVC Season 6. Amber takes second place, and third goes to Treeboy53. Following on down the grid from our top 3, an unfortunate penalty will mean D765 falls to 4th place. Scarlet 42 will take 5th. Apex is 6th. Blah 7th. 8th goes to Dorado. 9th to Salmon. And 10th to Finnell. There is a bit of an error. Of course, Bayless is shown as being down in 14th. I do believe that will be getting amended, leaving the session too early, getting a bit of a bug. Moving on down the grid, Curly classified as 11th. Alexi 12th. Pixels does say 13th. But get the rest of them. There is the last bit of the screen. Apologies for not being able to shout them out in due time. But as I said earlier in the screen, that's going to be it from me. It has been a very long time. I've been around the FVC since the start. Taken on a number of positions, been staff, been admin, even been the head of the entire league at some points, but I stepped back to do a commentary position for Season 6, but due to some other events happening in my life, I'm having to just take a full step back, and apologies for not being able to showcase the rest of Season 6 to you all. I did hope to be able to do it, but it is outside of my control. Thank you all for watching along. I don't know the broadcast situation, but I do believe it may get announced on our social medias or within the Discord at any point, so thank you all for watching. and for potentially the final time, goodbye.